Happy Friday Eve day, everybody. I am so excited about this interview today. This is going to be one you are never going to forget. Before I get started, we've got Facebook and YouTube right here on my laptop. YouTubers, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss one of my live videos. Every single week on Thursday at 11:30, I come to you live with a guest expert, an entrepreneurial inspiration interview, or a free training from me. And if you're coming to me through Facebook, and you haven't told Facebook that it's okay for me to see your Facebook name through my StreamYard service, go to streamyard.com/Facebook and go ahead and grant that permission. I am going to just make sure, yep, we are live in the group. That's awesome. Okay, today, the Entrepreneurial Inspiration Series continues, and we are going to chat with one of our awesome Facebook group members about their journey as an entrepreneur. And today is Laurie Brooks. Cannot wait to introduce you to Laurie. But first, in case you and I are new to each other, I am Tracy Beavers. I am your business and sales coach with over 20 years of experience in marketing, sales, and business growth. I have helped hundreds of entrepreneurs just like you get visible, grow your audience, grow your email list, and get that stable, consistent monthly income that you really, really want. As we go along, my friends, I want you to pop your questions and comments into the chat for us. I am happy to answer anything about your business. And I know Laurie would be happy to answer any questions you have for her about her journey, about her business, about what she teaches. So let me introduce you to her really quick. You're going to love her as much as I do. Laurie is a health coach who is passionate about helping women heal from autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, I hope I said that right, and symptoms of hypothyroidism, also known as low thyroid. She is a certified nutritional therapy practitioner and autoimmune protocol coach. She is a wife, she's a mom, she's a dog mom like me, and she's also one of my Business Visibility Made Easy students and now alums. So if you have questions about that program, you can ask her because she'll tell you. And honestly, Laurie is just a complete ray of sunshine to be around every single day. I don't think I've ever seen her in a bad mood. So Laurie, welcome. We are so excited you're here, not only to discuss entrepreneurship, but also for you to share your health journey, to shed some light on some thyroid issues and our health that maybe some of our audience is struggling with. So let's get right to it. Tell us about your business, who you are, what you do, and kind of what motivated you to get to this point.
So I am come from a long history of people in the medical profession in my family. So my grandmother was an old Navy OR nurse, and my mom was a registered nurse. And so when I was 18, I was going to follow along in their footsteps and also become a nurse. I was just like the logical progression for me.
Right.
But at 18, after being in nursing school for 2 years, I got to the clinical portion, and handling the blood was just not my cup of tea. So I went 180 degrees in the opposite direction and went from nursing school to business school. And basically have been kind of just in the technical industry for a long time, helping people set up software and working in the computer industry. And just with everything that's gone on in my lifetime, my mom got ill really pretty early in her life. So she was diagnosed with hypothyroidism in her 20s. But then by her 30s, sorry, that's my dogs in the background.
That's okay.
By her early 30s, she was diagnosed with lupus. And then by her late 30s, she actually got breast cancer. So we're told, from growing up that our genes really have a lot to do with how our health is going to progress through our lifetime. But I did not want to accept that as truth. So in my spare time, I would spend, a lot of time reading books on thyroid, books on hormone, because I was going through my own health crisis. But I also saw how my mom's health just deteriorated so quickly over time, over a short amount of time, that I didn't want to follow those footsteps. And my grandmother had also had hypothyroidism. So I knew that this was genetics that I wanted to fight against. I didn't want to just accept it that this is the way life is going to be for me. So that's kind of how I got into health and wellness.
Nice. I love that. All right. So tell us who you serve. You serve women primarily.
Yes.
Yeah. And and tell us more about your story. Like, I know I've been teasing that this week about, when you finally got to the point where you knew this was going to be the business that you wanted to have, it was through a lot of struggles of your own.
Yeah, so at 37, I struggled with what I know now was just a huge hormone imbalance. I had had my two sons back to back.
Mhm.
They were only 18 months apart. So I didn't really give my body time to recuperate in between. And a lot of women find that, uh, especially after pregnancy, or if they have multiple pregnancies really soon,
Mhm.
that the hormones get out of balance really fast, but you also end up going into a hyperthyroid state.
Uh-huh.
And so 6 months after my second son was born, I lost all the baby weight like within 3 months. And I thought, well, this is great. I didn't get to lose it between the first one and the second one. So, I can handle this, right? Well, what I didn't know is that my system was just in overdrive. And so he was about 7 or 8 months old and my body just crashed. And little by little, I started gaining weight and having, all over soreness and symptoms, but I also started having hives like over 80% of my body
Oh, wow.
for 8 months. Like I do not wish that on my worst enemy. It is absolutely miserable. You just feel like you're literally crawling out of your skin and there's nothing you can do. I mean, I tried it all. We went all natural, chemical free, did the oat milk baths, did
Yeah.
the clean diet. I did all of the things and nothing seemed to help. And in the meantime, I'd gone to endocrinologists and OBGYNs and allergists and, uh, 9 different doctors before somebody finally listened to me
Yeah.
and said, and validated my symptoms and said, what you're feeling is true and I hear you and let's get to the root of the problem.
Wow.
And finally, we did the right blood work, which is what it takes, right? You've got to figure out which doctor you need to go to, and then somebody that's actually going to dig in and
Yeah.
not just put a band aid on your symptoms and say, take the steroids to get rid of the hives, or, you
Mhm.
know, you get more antihistamines. I was on so many drugs. One of the doctors told me, you've been given the amount of steroids that we would give a horse to alleviate an infection. And
Wow.
that's when I knew this is not right. So that's really when I started digging into the books and found the right doctor who would actually run the right tests, and then told me that I had Hashimoto's, adrenal fatigue, estrogen dominance, all of the hormone ickiness that now we know it's become a lot more common than it was back
Mhm.
then.
Yeah. Wow. Oh
So
my gosh. Bless your heart.
yeah,
That's horrible.
it
And
was
so
crazy.
what kind of doctor was it that actually ended up helping you?
So he was a holistic doctor who actually was very focused on bioidentical hormones. So instead of giving you pharmaceutical
Mhm.
hormones that we know have other side effects and also just put band-aids on what
Mhm.
the problem is, he worked very closely with me. So I was doing blood work every 3 months to
Mhm.
determine, because your hormones, it takes time for them to get balanced, but it also, you have to really monitor whenever you're prescribing hormones to bring them back up again,
Mhm.
because every little increment makes a difference with your hormones. They're just so interconnected and so sensitive. So
Right.
he worked really closely with me for about 18 months, but within 6 weeks of me seeing him and him starting me on the right thyroid medicine and the right hormone medicines, my hives were completely gone.
Wow.
So I knew we were on the right track. And then that's when I was like, I need to know more about these hormones. I need to know more about what affects the thyroid. And
Yeah.
so, just with my family background of medical information, I just started digging into what else besides just taking medicines can I do to improve my health so this doesn't happen again. And so I don't go down the same path that my mom went down.
Right. Oh my gosh. And so that's really what motivated you to start your online business.
Yes, so my sons were just finishing up private school and I worked at the business office of the school and I was like, well, I don't really have a vested interest here anymore because they're not going to school here anymore. So what am I going to do now that they're in their career jobs?
Yeah.
And it was just logical to me since I was able to find a method basically
Yes.
after trial and error over several years and a couple of, flares in the process.
Mhm.
How can I use the information that I've gathered and actually pay it forward to somebody else so that they don't have to go through the same thing that I went through? So I
Yeah.
went to nutritional therapy school and became a practitioner. It was about a 10-month program.
Yeah.
And while I was also still working 9 to 5 at the school. So
Mhm.
um, that's kind of just where where I started with wanting to be able to help others with what I went through.
Yeah. So you built this business alongside a full-time job and your family like I did.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how that went, and because people ask me all the time, "How did you do that? How did you juggle it?" You know, what because it's hard.
It was
I
hard.
mean, and there are times when I was like, "What am I doing? Why am I doing this?" So how did you juggle it all? Like, give us a peek into maybe the time management part of it, and
Mhm.
then on the days when you were exhausted and you're like, "Why am I doing this?" What kept you going?
So, I kinda kept it a secret from my people at work for a year that I was in school. I didn't even tell them. So
Oh,
I was like 2 people. I had, like, my professional daytime job
uh-huh.
persona, and then I had my personal family, student persona. So I
Mhm.
kept it separate until I actually got certified.
Mhm.
So it was kind of like this internal battle within myself. I wasn't as invested in my career job anymore.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say I got a bad attitude, but I knew I knew that it wasn't my purpose. So like when you realize that your purpose is not there, I actually looked forward to clocking out at 4 o'clock every day and running home and doing all the family things, and then sitting down at my computer and learning what I learned. So there were times where I was studying in the ninth hour and waiting until the last minute to take the final exams and all of those things. But I guess I just kept focused on my purpose. I knew that my purpose had changed. It was no longer serving me to work at the school,
Mhm.
because there were benefits to that from putting my
Sure.
kids there, to being able to serve other people in a different way, in a more meaningful way.
Right, and it kinda goes hand in hand with you initially wanting to be a nurse in the first place. It's just
Exactly. It was like full circle.
right, you're doing all the nursing parts, but without the blood, so it's kind of a great fit.
Exactly.
So how did you have the courage to take the leap and literally leave that job? Now, I know it had kinda run its course for you. I felt the same way. I felt like still staying in that job was like wearing a jacket that was 2 sizes too small. It didn't serve me. I didn't have a bad attitude either, but I sure wasn't putting 110% into it like I had in the beginning because I just didn't have it in me anymore. But I
Mhm.
also know for me, the disappearance of that stable paycheck, that caused me a little bit. I was like, "Oh, got to catch my breath over that one." So, how did you
Mhm.
get the courage, and in talking to your husband and figuring this out that this is the time and this is the right time for me, and I'm gonna just see what happens. How did you do that?
Um, Honestly, it was a juggle. Um, I just knew in my mind that it was that I have high expectations for myself, and I am that 110% person.
Mhm.
So it was more stressful for me to stay there and not give my all
Yes,
than it was for me to just,
leave.
accept a little bit of less money
Mhm.
coming in and really kind of knuckle back down to the bare minimums on finances to
Right.
I mean, I am a much more clear-headed person because I'm not 2 personalities anymore, but
Exactly.
also, the timing was crazy, I have to tell you, because my husband actually, when I had put my notice in February, he actually got laid off.
Oh, man. Oh,
So, then you're thinking, "Have I done the right thing? What a am I have I lost my mind? What am I doing?" And,
right.
I just know God has a plan, and so he was able to find another job at another startup company pretty quickly, but still it was a cut and pay for him in addition to no longer having my paycheck. So, it's kinda just giving me the drive to and also enabled me to focus more
Yeah.
on what I wanna do in my business and what direction I need to take it in and how I
Mhm.
mean, that's really lit my fire basically, to know that I need to get things moving. I've invested all this time and
Right.
all of my mind to know, knowledge to expand my knowledge on things and to be able to serve people, I need to put it into practice.
Right, right. Did you find this was true for me? I was astounded when the full-time job ended and I hate to say all I had to focus on was the business because I still have at the time a couple of other businesses going and I was still doing consulting work with the university. their business center and all that, still had the kids, all the things. But it was astounding to me how much more clarity I had and breathing room, and how much more intentional I was able to be in building the business. Are you finding that as well? It's kind of like you can just literally exhale and it's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's almost like you've scheduled your time so much to do the 9 to 5 and then start the business in your spare time
Yeah.
that now I have like extra time. So I have this buffer of time that like I like it, but then I still feel like I'm supposed to be doing something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a whole different mindset. But I
Yes.
mean, I'm less stressful, even though I have the stress of starting the business. Um, yeah, I do have clarity of mind because I know that there's only so many hours in the day, but I know that I have purpose behind the actions that I'm taking
Yeah.
to move the needle forward.
Got it. Got it. Tell us, what are some of the challenges that you have faced so far in building this business? And what are some of the ways you navigated through them?
So it's kind of crazy because I'm a very technical person.
Mm.
Like I'm married to a programmer. My son is a programmer. I worked in tech. I've trained people on how to use software in various industries over the years. I maintained the computers at the school. Like I did all the tech things.
Thank
But
you for being a tech lover. For people like
yes,
me, whose tech is not my love language, there's a reserved parking spot in heaven for all of the tech people.
but I didn't come by it naturally though. It was like by default. Like,
Yeah.
after college my husband would read computer magazines to me as the topic of conversation at dinner, and I had no choice but to just absorb the information. But honestly, I while that's a blessing, there is so much tech and so many software decisions that you have to decide what's going to be the right fit for your business, and there's no cookie cutter, that somebody says, I did these 5 things and these are what I use that
Right.
are going to be the same, that are, going to be the same fit for you. So
Right.
trying to, like, I already know what I want to do with my business and how I want to help people, but establishing the tech
Yeah.
part of, the website and what email service provider you're going to use, and,
Mhm.
what platform you're going to use for your videos and all of the things was a bit overwhelming. And I have to say, I I like to streamline things, and I want to make one decision one time. I don't want to make a decision and then change my mind 6 months down
Right.
the road and have
Yeah.
to. I'm a very practical and direct person in that way. So I like efficiency, and so that's kind of stagnated me because I'll take too long to make a decision on which email service provider I should use when
Yeah.
I should just go with the cheapest one and the one that's going to work for me right now, because that's easy to change later on.
Yeah.
So luckily, I had my husband as a sounding board that would say, just decide, tell me what your pros and cons are for each one. And he would be like, okay, you're doing this one. And so it was very helpful
Right.
to have a person to bounce off when you get in that stuck place of, just the outside looking in. This is what I need. These are the options that I have. Tell me
Mhm.
which one you think I should go with.
Yeah.
And then have them help you work through those decisions. So that was very challenging and then helpful at the same time, because I know myself well enough to know that's where I'm going to get stuck, is the decision making process, and just make the decision, just go
Yeah.
with the decision.
Right. Right. Yeah. I get it. There's a lot of decisions, and sometimes I hear from my clients and students that they don't want to make a wrong decision, and so they're stuck in analysis, paralysis, and a little
Hmm.
bit of perfectionism because they want to get it right out of the gate. But you and I both know, we've been in it long enough that that's not always possible. Sometimes your first choice is the best choice, but sometimes it's not.
Hmm.
So, what were some things that have surprised you along the way in building your online business?
um Probably just the reinforcement that it's not going to happen overnight. Like I come from a very business oriented mindset and working in business for other people and doing
Right.
their accounting and paying their bills and all the things. But when you're doing it for yourself, um, it you don't realize how much guidance you're given when you're working for others that you have to actually do for yourself.
Yes.
So
Exactly. When you get a
so
job, you get a desk, you get a computer, you get a restroom to use, you get a name tag, you get business cards, you get your benchmarks, you get your job description. I mean, you get everything.
Yeah, it's all there for you. I have to like create my own job description and figure out my schedule for the day. And honestly, probably just deciding what to work on each day of the week is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Is is determining what your focus should be for the time that you have to move that needle forward to meet your goals. Goal setting probably is is the clincher
Yeah.
because everybody's already always set the goals for me in all of my other jobs. I'm
Absolutely.
doing their goals, I'm
Right.
helping them meet their goals. So I have to decide what my goals are now.
Right. Yeah.
So,
It's wild, isn't it? Yeah. It's like, what do
hmm
I really want and how do I want this thing to go? Yeah.
yeah.
So, is there anything you wish that you would have known before starting your online business? Like if you had it to do over again, you're like, why didn't I know this? Why didn't somebody tell me this?
Um, I guess really that there's not one way to do stuff. Like that you're gonna have to find your own way to do it. You can you can have, the outline that somebody else used to get started,
Mhm.
but you have to find your own path and you have to know that what works for one person may not be the same thing that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And to be okay with that, to be okay to find your way to find those pieces of the puzzle that are going to work for you.
Yeah. And so that comes to my next question about risk taking and decision making. And we talked about how sometimes you could get stuck in decision making. Um, there's some risks with building an online business. Like you're saying,
hmm
we don't know the direction we don't have a crystal ball. I wish we did. I'd be a gazillionaire by now. I could just do readings for people all day long. But um, how do you approach, like you're saying, like when you're looking at the course of a week and you're trying to decide what is it I'm going to work on, and risk taking in your business and decision making, how do you approach that and overcome that feeling of a fear?
So, because I've been working with you a little while, that the whole live video thing is a huge, huge thing for me. So, um, taking a risk is just putting myself out there. It's
Mhm.
been really challenging and hard.
So proud of you for
Um,
doing that, by the way. I know that's
yeah,
difficult.
because I'm a very like we have a very private family. We're very private people, but I know that I have something to offer people that can help them.
Yeah.
So that makes the risk worth it.
Yes. So it's imagining all those souls that you're going to help and bless, and women that are struggling, if I'm
Mhm.
understanding you correctly. Like you're literally visualizing the people that you're going to help,
Mhm.
and that helps
Yep.
you keep pushing through. I love that. That is an awesome visual for everybody here. I want you guys to hear what Laurie's saying on those days when you feel like you don't know what decision to make, or you've got something to do and it's a little bit risky or it's a little bit scary. I want you to think about the people that you're going to help. That's what helps me deliver live trainings every week. I just visualize the online entrepreneurs that I can help, and I know the only way I can help as many as possible is by going live and trying to be on a global scale. So I think that's beautiful. What would you say has been the key ingredient for your success so far? If there is one key ingredient.
So probably finding finding a group, finding a coach that just like you need a health coach or somebody to help you with your workouts to get stronger or whatever you need, finding the right fit for a group of from a group of people or individual that know what you're going through, have are actually a few steps ahead of you,
Mhm.
and that can just really relate to growing your business and all of the mind exercises we have to do with ourselves and the getting over ourselves and putting others first. And it's like a reset you have to do all the time. Just having somebody go along that journey with you. Because I mean, my husband, he's with me. He sees what I'm doing, but he's like, why are you? What is that going to do for you? And I'm
Right.
like, well, I know other people that have done this, and this is what has helped them move along. So I'm just following along with by example. And honestly, you are like the best example because you basically everything that you teach, you do. And so if I need to know how to post something to my group a certain way or the format of my Facebook lives and how to get those started. All I have to do is look at your pages or look at your group and see how you've done something. Because I work really well by going, I don't like to reinvent the wheel either. So I like to, why somebody else has already done that. Let me just use their skill and go forward.
Yeah.
So having somebody who's been through it that is a little bit ahead of you, that can guide you on your way to making progress has been like the hugest, and it's taken some time. I've been I've done several online courses. I've hired several business coaches that I just were like the opposite fit for me, and I've spent several $1,000s.
Same.
And yeah,
Me too.
and that's a little devastating. That's a risk, right? Because you know a little bit about them from when they've done their promo or their workshop, but you don't really know until you get into their thing. So there's only one program that I've regretted doing because she just was not the right business fit for me, as far as mindset goes. But having just like-minded people that have the same values and beliefs that you do, that are a little bit ahead of you, has really been a game changer for me.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. That ingredient of community and support. Yes, I am a proponent of somebody having a coach. I always have a coach or a mentor in my back pocket for that reason, because I don't know everything. There's not one coach that knows everything, and not every coach is a good fit for everybody. The first coach I hired was $6,000. Not a good fit. Very disappointing. The first social media manager I hired, this is going to make you throw up on your shoes. $8,000. And over the 4 months that we worked together, nothing. And so, the nice thing about it was it led me to Jill, who I have now, who's outstanding and amazing, and
Mhm.
and is the reason why I have the visibility that I do, because I give her the ideas and she goes and makes it happen for me. But yeah, there's a lot of things I've spent money on that were a waste, but then also I learned from it.
Mhm.
So finding that coach, that right coach, is super important. And I love working with you. I think it's awesome. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. We've got a lot of questions coming up in the comments. We're going to answer those as soon
Okay.
as we get to the end. But
Okay.
um, taking further what Laurie said, being in a community of like-minded entrepreneurs. If you guys are not in my Facebook group, it's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur, Get Visible and Grow Your Income. Come into this group. If you're an online entrepreneur, we have 1,900 other online entrepreneurs in here, and there are experts on everything. And there are people that are just starting out. There are people that are going to be years ahead of you, and everybody is helping everybody. And just being in the room with people that are doing the same thing you're doing, because like you said, your husband's like, what are you doing? My husband is one of my biggest cheerleaders, but I still don't think he fully understands, everything that I do all day long. I mean, they can't, you know what I mean? They're
Mm-mm.
not in the world. But anyway, so join our Facebook group if you're looking for a community of support. That's a great place to start because it's free. Laurie, I want you to share a milestone that you're particularly proud of, because I know it's hard for us to toot our own horns. I know we want to be humble, but I want you to brag on yourself. I want you to share some stuff that you're like, yes, I did that, and I'm so proud of myself.
Well, firstly, just going back to school. I mean, I'm over 50 now. I had a birthday yesterday, which, I'm 39 again for the 39th time. That's what I told my dad. His dad's like, how old are you? And I'm like, I'm not going to do the math for you. You do it.
Right. So funny.
I just totally lost my train of thought by talking about my dad. That is so funny.
That's okay. Going back to school. You were saying going back to school. Because if I had to go back to school right
Yes.
now, I don't remember how I studied. I'd have to figure out, how do I study again?
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was huge for me. Also because my mom also did that. She got her GED because she married but when she was 17 and had me at 18. And then she went back in her early 30s and got her GEDs and then went to nursing school. So it's like we're not too old to learn new tricks. I mean, I have like a perpetual learning mindset. I always am digging into books and wanting to learn new things. So that was huge for me. But also just putting myself out there, I think is big because like my husband said actually yesterday, he's like, I'm trying to get off the grid and you're like so on the grid that I don't even know what plane you're on right now.
That's hysterical. He's trying to get off it. You're like charging through it. Yeah,
Yeah.
y'all are working
And I'm
against
like, hey, look at me, everybody. So I'm just going live, taking chances in my Facebook group, and then
yeah,
just putting myself out there more and more, and just sharing what I know, and getting people healthy.
yeah,
That's really it.
yeah, making a difference for those women that
Yeah.
are just like you that are going to the doctors and they're not getting any answers and they've got like I had a really bad autoimmune skin condition that is now in
Hmm.
remission, but I think it's because of some diet changes and some stress
Hmm.
changes. But I looked like I
Hmm.
had hives, whelps on my arms and
Yep.
legs, and it was awful.
Yep.
And I even went through what they call grand rounds at UAMS dermatology here at the University of Arkansas Medical School.
Hmm.
With,
Hmm.
what do they call them? Interns looking at me. I mean, it was like
Yeah.
nobody could figure out what was wrong. So I admire the heck out of what you do because there's going to be so many people you're going to be able to bless. What is on the horizon for your business in the next 3 to 6 months? Because we're in September, we're headed to the end of the year. Like, what do you have planned for the end of the year? And then, like, what does 2024 look like for you? Is there something that's going to just light your fire in 2024?
Yes, I am going to start my lean launch starting October 1st. So in the next few weeks, I'll be opening up um, my group. I just want to start with 5 to 10 women so that we can go through the program together, basically launching my signature program
Nice.
before I've done just a really short 30-day quick start energy course
Yep.
that just focus mainly on nutrition. But I want to get the program to really look at all facets of your health. So it includes, you know, nutrition, lifestyle, stress management, sleep management, all the things that we don't think are that impactful on our lives. Really just starting out with sleeping 7 hours plus a night will make the hugest difference in people's lives. And I think
Yes.
we know that, but
Right.
I think that we're just so busy with life that we don't know how to implement that or enforce that in our own lifestyles. So there are decisions that you've got to change, mindsets you got to change, habits you got to change, and I'm
Right.
looking forward to working through that with my first group of clients in the next month.
Nice. And then on the horizon for 2024, anything that's got you jazzed up yet?
Yes, I will be taking what I learned from my first 10 and creating my signature online course. So I want to be able to make kind of a DIY course that they can go through so they don't have to. If somebody's driven like me, I don't really need the hand holding for health and lifestyle changes. I can take information, take a meal plan, take,
Mhm.
lifestyle calendaring, or for lack of a better word, and just do it. I'm very stubborn and I'm very determined. So if somebody gives me a plan, I can run with it. And I would like to be able to offer that to somebody who, already kind of has the basics that they need, but just need a plan to go forward with. So I want to create an online program that they can get and take themselves through at their own pace
Yeah.
to get healthy again.
Nice. Nice. I love that. Okay, if you don't mind giving us just a few more minutes, you know that the registration for Amy Porterfield's Course Confident Boot Camp that starts next week opened up last week. So we've got a whole bunch of people that have registered for the boot camp. And I know you grabbed your spot in the boot camp right alongside me. And you and I both attended this boot camp last year. I know why I want to attend it again. Would you share with everybody why in the world you would want to pay $47 to attend a boot camp you've already attended? And what was your experience like in it last year? And then what do you hope to get out of it by going back through it again? That's a lot of
Firstly, I know that is a lot of questions.
sorry.
Firstly, Amy Porterfield's enthusiasm and her passion for what she does is contagious. So
Mhm.
just being in the room with her and she's already been through it all and done it all and seen it all, and she's tweaked her business over time as tech has progressed, and
Mhm.
just learning from the best, right? So if this is something I want to do long term, then I want to go to who I know is the expert in the business, but also to learn from her example. So just watching her work and
Yeah.
seeing how she puts things together.
Mhm.
Um, Even how I think she's going to do her mindset challenges at the first of the day in addition to her trainings.
Yeah.
I love that because so much of what we need is just to change our way of thinking, not necessarily what we do, but the why we're doing it or why we're not doing it. What are the brick walls that we're running into that are preventing us from doing it? So I'm interested to see how I can use the tools and tricks, for lack of a better word, with her program, how I can implement that into my own program.
Right. I am too. I think the mindset things are going to be awesome for you also, because that mindset stuff is something that your people need when it comes to overcoming their health. Like, can I do this? Is this going to work for me? And, just helping them stay positive and stay focused on what they're doing. And for me, just like what you're saying, when you get to watch somebody that is an expert in their field, that makes me a better coach, because I always get a different idea or a different take on something that then lets me turn around and help my people in a better way. Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. So everybody, this boot camp is a must for your business. You're going to want to attend this. You're going to have a rare opportunity to hear from Amy Porterfield, the leader in online business growth. And it's only $47. I want you to go to tracybeavers.com/bootcamp, register for the boot camp. When you register through my affiliate link, you let me know, and I am going to send you my $97 course called Write Emails Your Subscribers Want to Open for free. So you're going to spend $47 and get to learn from Amy Porterfield, but you're going to get a $97 course from me for free. I think that's a no-brainer. All right, let me go hop into the questions really fast, because I think we had some questions for you, Laurie.
Okay.
So Jill was talking about how the women in her family have thyroid issues. Yes, it is. So that those genetics are so important to know, right?
Yeah. And why is that? It's because they raised us, right? And so we have the same lifestyle and food choices and backgrounds that they had. So that's why it's important to change what you do now so you can pay that forward to the next generations, coming up.
Right. Because it's part, the genes you're born with, but then it's also part the way you were raised, just like you're saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Very interesting. Okay. Somebody had a question. It says, Laurie, do you deliver weekly content? And if so, where and what platform?
Okay, so yes, I do. I have a private Facebook group called Total Thyroid Transformation. And if you join there, I am doing live trainings every Friday afternoon at 3:00. And I cover things like what my number one suggestion is if you've been diagnosed with a thyroid, what you should do first, improvements on your health, like how to improve sleep, how to improve digestion, all of the things that you may think that but you just don't know how to implement into your own life. And sometimes it's just as simple as chewing your food 30 times. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, but people need to be reminded or just informed of this. So if you go to my Facebook group, I am there every Friday afternoon at 3 p.m.
Love it. And I think Valerie popped your Facebook group link into the comments in my Facebook group.
Thank you.
So it's in there.
Thank you, Valerie.
Yeah. Okay. And then another question for you. Did you work with a coach when you were first starting out? And do you work with one now?
So starting out my business? Is that what they mean?
Yep.
So I did not at first. I actually was trying to learn all the tech and tools and tricks of the trade before. And then I realized I needed guidance just on what to do to move the pendulum forward. Like I had all the tools, but I didn't really know what to do with the tools.
Right.
So I didn't get my first business coach I hired just in January. So that's when I had my first experience with a business coach. So I graduated, I quit my job just in June. So I had gotten a business coach in January, preparing to ramp up my business by the summer. So it's been very, very, very beneficial.
Love it. Love it. I don't know if there was a second question with that one. Oh, do you have a coach right now?
Yes, I do. I just finished up a course with a Christian business coach who's actually helped me implement some of the lean launch and the really quick 30-day quick start that I did. And then I've got Tracy Beavers. Love her, love your group. I love your private Business Visibility Made Easy group, and just the group of women that are there. we've learned so much from each other, because it's a kind of a smaller cohort right now, but it's just really validating to know that there are other people in the same boat as you, and also to learn from. So as we learn things from ourselves, we're sharing them with each other, and that has made a huge difference. It's just it's good to know that you're not alone when you're doing this.
Yeah, for sure. And what she's talking about, you guys, is once you go through my Business Visibility Made Easy program, which reopens in October, if you want to get on the wait list, go to tracybeavers.com/BVME, and you can get on the wait. You can check out the information about the program. And hopefully the wait list is turned on. I know my tech VA and I were working on it earlier today. If the wait list is not turned on when you go to that page, just DM me and I'll help you get on the wait list. But once you go through that program, then you can enter my monthly membership for Business Visibility Made Easy students and alums. And that's what Laurie's talking about. We have live weekly Q&As together. We network together. We do office hours together. It's a really great to know you're not alone, just like Laurie's saying. So, and I learned so much from you guys too. I mean, I am not the kind of coach that's ever going to profess to know everything. I can't possibly know everything. And so like today's, one of the gals was needing help with email sequencing on her email service platform. And another lady just jumped right in and said, hey, I know exactly how to do that. And I was over there going, thank heaven, because I don't use ConvertKit and I'm not, familiar with the techie parts of that, but that's what a community will do for you. So I think that's awesome. Thanks, Laurie, for sharing that. Now, there was a question for me in the chat. What is the biggest benefit to joining the boot camp if you've already completed DCA? This is a great question. And what DCA is, if you're not familiar, you guys, is Digital Course Academy. So Amy Porterfield's large signature program is Digital Course Academy, which she launches on the heels of this Course Confident Boot Camp. So the Course Confident Boot Camp is where she's going to teach you how to take your idea about your course from idea to creation. And that's the little part they do in the boot camp. But then there's an invitation to join Digital Course Academy, where you can take your idea and get it all the way through launch and create it out into the world. That's a full spectrum 10-week program. And so a lot of us have been through Course Confident. We went on to do Digital Course Academy together. I'm a Digital Course Academy alum. I know Laurie is too. And there are a lot of alums that have signed up for the boot camp through me. So I know there's going to be a lot of alums in there. And the reason why that I'm hearing that they're doing it is because of what Laurie and I just said. We get to learn from Amy because this is the least expensive thing she offers. And she doesn't do a lot of live interactive trainings in the public. And so if you really want to work with her and engage with her and see her style and her presentation style and how she does things, this is a great way to do it for only $47. And then for me, I like to watch the logistics of what's going on. So if I think I might want to do a boot camp or a workshop or a challenge like they're doing, I want to see from the first time I register and get my confirmation email and all the emails I get, I want to see what that looks like and save those in a swipe file for inspiration for me later. I want to see how the Facebook group is set up that we're all going to be in and how her team is running it and who's doing what, so that I can make myself better and set myself up for success if I want to emulate this in the future. And then just being in a room like Laurie and I were talking about, getting in community, whether it's in my free Facebook group or a boot camp like this or another boot camp entirely. I did a training a few weeks ago about the unexpected benefits of attending a boot camp or a workshop. And part of that is the energy and inspiration that you're going to get just by swimming amongst people that are doing the same thing you're doing. Because being an entrepreneur is freaking hard and it's lonely. And you hear me say that every single week. But if I can be in this group, I'm going to get energized. I'm going to get some mindset stuff from Amy, which is always good for all of us to hear, no matter how successful we are. And then, whether it's making connections with other online entrepreneurs, the networking to me is worth it. Being visible to other people and sharing best practices and figuring out, you might find your next best collaboration partner in that boot camp. You might find a client in that boot camp, although we do not solicit in these boot camps. We don't, that's not allowed. But when you start making those connections and people get to know what you do, Laurie may find some women in that group that when they find out what she does, they're like, oh my gosh, how can I work with you? She doesn't even have to say anything. All she has to do is make sure her personal profile is maxed out like I teach everybody to do. So that when they hit her name, they're going to go, oh man, she helps people with hypothyroidism. sign me up, And so, but anyway, I could go on and on. I'll get off my soapbox, but there's lots of different benefits from being in a boot camp and things like that. Okay, Laurie, you offer free discovery calls like I do. And
Yes.
I know you've got a free, awesome guide that talks about 5 myths that are sabotaging your thyroid health. So Jill has your lead magnet, your free guide link. It's healthyforachange.com/5, the number 5 myths. And Jill's going to pop that into the comments for everybody to grab that. And then if they want to book a discovery call with you, is that something they can do today?
Yes, absolutely. You can direct message me, or I think I gave Jill the link to that too. You can go to the website healthyforachange.com, and there's a book a call link at the top. And that'll basically give me your registration information, and you pick a time to meet with me, and we'll get going.
Nice. And just talk about their problems and see what's going on with them, and if you can help them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, love it. All right, my friends, I want you to be here live with me every Thursday at 11:30. Put it on your calendar and set your phone alarm, and share these trainings and my free Facebook group with your business besties, the accountability pod mates that you've got, people that are in your mastermind. And if you guys are wanting to make genuine connections, network, and get support in what you're working on, that's what my free Facebook is all about, and it is the place to be. And I say this every single week. I sound like a broken record. Don't go it alone. Being an entrepreneur is really hard. Like Laurie and I are talking about, there's things that you've got to navigate. There's risks you've got to take. There's investments you've got to, you need people to talk to about, hey, has anybody been through this program? Or before you go spend a couple $1,000s on a coach, has anybody hired a coach? What do I look for? What do I ask? Those are the kinds of things you're going to get help with. Because if you think you're alone in feeling that way, you are not. So remember, we have to stick together because it is tough, but when one of us rises, we all rise. So that's why we have to keep cheering each other on. And Laurie, thank you so much again for being with me. This has been wonderful.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Y'all reach out to Laurie, get her information, get her knowledge. She's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to health. All right, my friends, I will see you next week at 11:30.